This video is brought to you by...
Man, we ain't hard to find, man. We downtown Baltimore, man. The heart of downtown, man. 215 West Saratoga Street, man. Come on through, man. Show some love, man. Yeah, you can't miss us. We out on the block with it. We right between Park Avenue and Howard Street, man. Come on through. Until you out of towners, man, you want to get with us, man. Come on through. Put this cool green on. Let everybody know, man, y'all with the city, man, that y'all riding with us, man, that y'all for us, man. Y'all support what we got going on down here, man. Because this right here, man, it's going worldwide, and it's coming straight out of Baltimore, and it's going to be bigger than Ralph Lauren real soon, man. It's coming straight out the city, man, and it's this what it is. And once you put it on, you're going to see what I'm talking about, man. This the real deal. Come on down, man. If you can't come through and shop with us online. Go online right now, man. CoolGreenClothing.com and shop with us, man.
What's up, fam? It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another video. In this episode of the Baltimore Way, I'll be telling the story of Evelyn Player, a beloved East Baltimore church volunteer whose life was brutally taken in the church she devoted her time to. Before we get into this video, please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to our channel. Go ahead and click that notification bell to get notified every time we upload. If you're rocking with the content, smash that like button. Feel free to share this video with everyone you know. Make sure you watch until the end to hear the full story. All right, let's jump right into it. Born in North Carolina, the lovely Evelyn was affectionately known as Dump to her family and friends. Evelyn's family relocated to Baltimore, Maryland when she was 5 years old. Evelyn thrived in Baltimore. Not only was Evelyn smart, she was also athletic and had major skills on the basketball court. Known for her unique style of trash talk, she was a proud member of the girls' basketball team at Dunbar High School, where she graduated in 1970. Evelyn then met and married the love of her life. They were joined together in matrimony in February of 1971. From their union, the couple welcomed their beloved daughter. Evelyn began attending church at Southern Baptist Church in East Baltimore when she was a little girl. Evelyn was the fourth or fifth generation of her family to attend the church. After graduating, Evelyn took a job as a telephone operator for 5 years. In 1975, Evelyn progressed in her career and began working as a bindery trainer at a publishing company where she worked for 28 years before retiring. After her retirement, however, Evelyn was still looking for ways to take on new challenges. Evelyn decided to enroll in school to study medical billing and coding, and in 2011 graduated as valedictorian and received her certification in the field. After landing a position as a coding specialist, she eventually resigned to dutifully take care of her alien mother. Not only was Evelyn a devoted daughter, she was also a devoted mother and grandmother to her grandson, who was the love of her life. Evelyn also dedicated much of her time to her church home, Southern Baptist, where she loved her church family. Evelyn was big on serving God and others. She volunteered wherever she could, whether it was in the choir, the media ministry, the hospitality committee, or volunteering by distributing food to those in need. If there was a need to be met in the church, you could have counted on Evelyn on being there to help. Evelyn was a force to be reckoned with and was very direct and blunt, but wasn't above reproach. The hard exterior on the outside was nothing like the woman one would grow to love. The devoted servant was known as a jokester and had a great sense of humor and was very down to earth. Evelyn loved people, and in turn, she was loved. Evelyn was known to keep things in order in the church and was lovingly nicknamed the Sheriff. On November 16th, 2021, Evelyn woke up early that morning to get to church by 6:30 a.m. to let the contractors into the building to work on the church's renovations. Evelyn's adult daughter was concerned about her mother traveling to the church so early in the morning, so they had a routine. According to her daughter, her mother texted her that morning at 6:03 a.m. "I'm here. Have a great day. Love you." Her daughter said she replied back, "Love you too." That would be the last communication Evelyn would have with her beloved daughter. After Evelyn opened the door for the contractors to enter the building, church employees noticed that the chapel lights were not turned on, which was strange because that would be one of the first things Evelyn did when she arrived in the morning. They also yelled out, "Hello," but got no response. Workers later found Evelyn's belongings and cell phone on the front desk, so they began looking for her. One of the workers found the handicapped bathroom was locked, so he used his key to open it. What the man found was absolutely horrifying. Inside the bathroom, the man saw a gruesome scene with Miss Evelyn badly wounded. Officers were called to the church around 7:20 a.m. Upon arrival, first responders reported Miss Evelyn gone at the scene at 7:30 a.m. The news of Miss Evelyn's passing sent shockwaves throughout the city and nation. The brazenness of the crime horrified and outraged the community. Community leaders and politicians demanded justice because who could have done such a thing to Miss Evelyn? She was an elderly lady who had no enemies. The former governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, put up a $100,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in Miss Evelyn's slaying. Miss Evelyn's loss left her one and only daughter numb. The traumatic experience left a lasting void in her family's heart. Family and friends were just devastated by the sudden tragedy. It was determined that Miss Evelyn was slashed 38 times and sustained 54 cutting wounds. She also had defensive wounds to her hands, which showed signs of a struggle between Miss Evelyn and the assailant. Evidence was collected from the crime scene and sent to the lab for testing. DNA samples was also taken from underneath Miss Evelyn's fingernails. Additional evidence was also taken from the scene, including surveillance footage, which captured a man entering the church at 6:11 a.m. and leaving 18 minutes later. At one point during the investigation, officers had a person of interest in custody, but didn't release much details on who they were or their possible involvement in the crime. Detectives got a lot of tips and leads, but unfortunately, they led to dead ends. On December 1st, 2021, 15 days after the slaying, Miss Evelyn was laid to rest. On that same day, Baltimore police announced that they arrested a man in connection with Evelyn's heinous slaying. 62-year-old Manzie Smith Jr., a hired day laborer who was there that day to move pews in the church. DNA evidence linked Manzie Smith directly to the crime. The person of interest they had before was confirmed not to be Manzie Smith. Detectives also believe that Manzie was the man going into the building on their surveillance footage. They believed Miss Evelyn let him in because she recognized him as a day laborer from the previous days. It was later revealed that Manzie also used his own ID to pawn pieces of jewelry belonging to Miss Evelyn 2 days after the slaying. He was questioned days later, which led to his arrest in the Old Town neighborhood. He had visible cuts to his hands and upper body. Manzie Smith was charged with first-degree murder, among other charges. He was ordered to be held without bail. The judge also ordered a mental health evaluation and other mental health assessments. Manzie Smith has a long history of committing terrible acts against women. His first conviction was in 1979 when he was just 19 years old and was sentenced to 15 years. His second conviction was in 1992 and he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Then, in 2012, he was accused of knocking down and stealing from a 64-year-old woman not too far from the location of the church. He was found criminally incompetent to stand that trial and eventually pleaded guilty to robbery and was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Manzie had just been released in July of 2021 on mandatory supervision, which had expired the month prior to the heinous slaying. Legally, mandatory supervision cannot be extended once the case is closed. Detectives said there was no evidence that Miss Evelyn had been assaulted inappropriately. During the bail hearing, Manzie Smith attorney stated that his client claims he doesn't remember the day of Evelyn's slaying. The attorney planned to file a plea of not criminally responsible, which is equivalent to an insanity defense, due to his client's mental health issues. According to his attorney, Manzie was on prescription medication for his psychosis and his schizophrenia on the day of the tragic incident at the church. Manzie Smith was diagnosed with mental illness while on trial for the 2012 case. His attorney also questioned the validity of the DNA evidence collected at the scene. Officials had not revealed a motive in the slaying. Manzie Smith was reportedly held in the prison's psych ward. In June of 2022, Manzie Smith was found competent to stand trial. After listening to counsel, the judge signed the order for a not criminally responsible evaluation. His status of no bail was also reinstated. According to Manzie's attorneys, doctors evaluated him twice before the case was resolved, diagnosing him with a personality disorder and prescription and alcohol use disorders, as well as determining he had borderline intellectual function. Despite those conditions, the attorney said the doctors determined Manzie Smith could understand his court proceedings, leading another judge to rule that Manzie was competent to stand trial. In January 2023, Manzie Smith Jr. pleaded guilty to the slaying of Evelyn Player. Before he admitted to the crime, Manzie withdrew his plea for not criminally responsible by reason of insanity. The judge pressed the state and the defense about Manzie's mental health and his ability to understand the consequences of pleading guilty. The judge asked about the insanity defense, and Manzie's attorney said because of the lack of funds, they couldn't hire their own expert witnesses. His attorney was doing the case almost pro bono. The judge questioned Manzie for 15 minutes, seeking to ensure he understood the rights he was waiving. Reportedly, Manzie's right hand shook when he raised his hand to be sworn in before answering. Throughout most of the court hearing, Manzie rocked back and forth in his chair with his head hanging low. When the judge asked how far he'd made it in school, Manzie responded that he was in special education. He also testified that he'd been committed to mental hospitals several times in his 30s. Given the opportunity for the last word in court, Manzie's voice was mostly muddled as he addressed the judge. "I'm truly sorry," Manzie told the court. "Please forgive me." 63-year-old Manzie Smith Jr. was sentenced to life in prison with all but 50 years suspended and 5 years of supervised probation. He will be eligible for parole in 25 years. The plea agreement allowed Evelyn's family and loved ones to avoid the trauma associated with a trial. Wow, fam, this is such a terribly sad story. May Miss Evelyn Player continue to rest peacefully. My condolences to her family and loved ones. My prayers are with them. I hope that they were able to get closure to this tragedy. Miss Evelyn seemed like a lot of fun to be around, a light that shined bright throughout the lives of the people she knew and touched. It's so heartbreaking that she lost her life in such a horrific way. I do not deny that mental health may have played a part, but I can't help but to think about how the act itself was pure evil, and the irony of the tragedy taking place inside the church is even more chilling. Again, my deepest and sincerest condolences to the family of Evelyn Player. Fam, tell me your thoughts on this story in the comments below. Alright fam, that's it for this episode of the Baltimore Way. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm out.